Hi, my name is Brittany Abadira, and helping children learn and develop towards their full potential has always been a key inspiration for becoming a teacher. I want to be a primary school teacher that motivates their students, providing them with lifelong skills that prepare them to become active citizens in society. I believe that learning is endless, and it is my professional goal to instill this passion in my students. I'm really excited as I enter this new chapter in towards becoming a primary school teacher. I'm really inspired by Webster and Ryan's research, as they believe that new education is categorised towards a forward movement to greater freedom, interest and joy in school life. It is this notion of facilitating a joy for learning that will foster a greater sense of self-worth and thus a greater sense of personal freedom and expression in a student's character development. My teaching ethos centres upon the creation of an inclusive learning environment, where each student feels valued and the diversity in the classroom is really embraced. The teacher and student should always share a multi-directional relationship. I feel that this allows the student opportunities to make meaning in their learning and to facilitate a student-centred approach. It is through the fostering of all these fundamentals of meaning in learning that will help develop and shape young adults that feel motivated and empowered through their school journey. One of the central elements that permeates my teaching philosophy focuses on the notion that for learning to be consolidated, it needs to be taught with depth and meaning. I believe that memory and long-term learning capabilities of a learner are cultivated by making the new information really meaningful to the receiver. This is delivered through associations that are already present and relevant to their everyday life. Through exploration of Roy Killen's work, he explains that to help students develop deep understanding, teachers must explicitly teach through meaningful learning. Learning with meaning constitutes learning beyond memorization, and this is really important to me. This provides students with the opportunity for purposeful learning experiences to occur. This is where the funds of knowledge come into play, and I believe that a child's funds of knowledge is powerful within the classroom. Their home life can bring wonderful experiences into the classroom and therefore establish meaningful learning. I have a constructivist epistemology that I wish to teach by, and this has really scaffolded my pedagogical beliefs. Patricia Hinchy has really inspired me, as I believe that a constructivist teacher is someone who designs experiences that give students an opportunity to develop data at their own pace and at their own level. Empowering the student to take charge of their learning experience is crucial. I live by the attitude that no one is responsible for their learning other than yourself. My ultimate objective is to develop students to feel empowered to seek out knowledge and understanding of things they do not know. Establishing a classroom that allows students to be at the centre of their learning is really important, and it is essential for the learning of a student and teacher as well. This is something that really supports my teaching philosophy. I believe that embracing diversity, making things relevant to students' everyday life, and therefore creating a purposeful and inclusive environment is really important to my teaching philosophy. I'll now draw a reference on 3 AITSL standards which really support my teaching philosophy. So the first standard that I'm going to talk about is AITSL Standard 1.5, differentiate teaching to meet specific learning needs of students across the full range of abilities. So while teaching a lesson in grade 3 on placement, I taught a maths lesson on money. And I gave the students, the whole class, the same number, so it was $25.50. And I knew I had a lower level of students in the class, so I needed to have an enabling prompt. So the first question for the whole class to do was draw me 3 different ways you can make $25.50 using notes and coins. So I sent the students off to do their work, and then I had an enabling question that still used that same amount of money, so it's creating that inclusive learning environment, and I gave them actual numbers to draw with. So I said, draw me $25.50 using a $20 note, $5 notes, 20-cent coins, and 10-cent pieces. So we worked together using that, and I thought that was really good because they could actually see the amounts that I wanted them to make, without actually having to think of what to draw in their head. However, for those extended kids, I created an extending prompt that said if I went to the shops and bought an item for $25.50 and I handed the register person $50, how much change would I get? And that was an extending prompt. So that's how I differentiated throughout the class to meet specific learning needs. So before I started, I had the different kinds of prompts that I wanted to use, and it catered to all the learning abilities present within the classroom. So that through research of Agera and authors, It supports the funds of knowledge because in our checkout circle we had some reflection time, and a lot of the kids said, oh, I remember using money when I go to the shops with my mum. So it was drawing in their funds of knowledge from at home and at school, and that was really successful within our lesson. And I was really able to employ differentiated learning strategies through the different prompts, so the prompt that everyone used, the enabling prompt for my lower kids, and the extended prompt when the kids had finished the first prompt. So I'll now talk about my second AITSL standard, and this one is AITSL Standard 2.1, Content and Teaching Strategies of the Teaching Area. Okay, so I taught a lesson in Foundation, and with my placement teacher, she was telling me that the kids were really struggling with their writing and sentence structure and putting full stops and capital letters and things like that. So I thought, okay, how can I make writing more meaningful to the students? So this supports Killen's approach of making learning really meaningful, and through making those real life connections, it can create a more joyful learning environment where kids are more eager to learn and they're happier to learn. So I thought, I set a task and I sent all the kids home and I said, bring in a teddy bear to school tomorrow. And I was going to use the teddy bear as a writing stimulus to help their writing. So I also brought in a teddy bear myself. So I brought in a teddy bear and we sat in a circle to create a really inclusive environment. We all introduced our teddy bear. I introduced my teddy bear as well. The kids each introduced their teddy bear and we spoke about it. And then I did an example of what we needed to do. So I said, you need to write 3 sentences on how to describe your teddy bear. And so I wrote, my teddy bear's name is Jeffrey, and we focused on capital letters, full stops. I described him, so he's brown. I cuddle with him at night. So just really focusing on sentence structure. So then the kids went off and they all sat at their table and they all put their teddy bear on their pencil case and they started writing. And I felt like this was a really useful strategy. It was really engaging. It was hands-on. The kids were really involved because writing can sometimes be a little bit tedious. So I thought bringing in the teddy bear would help make learning more meaningful for them and help prompt their writing. It was an effective strategy, and the goal was ultimately to make learning more meaningful, and I thought bringing in something that really is special to them and is significant to them would really assist within this lesson, and it was really successful. So I'll now talk about my last AITSL standard, which is really important, and it was AITSL Standard 5.1, Assess Student Learning. So working in Foundation, I planned and taught a sequence on time, and it was sequencing daily events in time order. So I thought, okay, great, this is a really good opportunity to bring in those real life connections and let the kids sequence events of their daily life in time order. So to scaffold the whole lesson, I went on the Department of Education's website and I used the assessment for. I used assessment as and of learning. So that's what scaffolded each of my lessons. So I really incorporated formative assessment, and that was formative assessment from the start, and that was ongoing throughout my unit. And as Gardiner states, he talks about formative assessment is really important because it informs your future teaching. It guides where your teacher needs to go, and you can really plan from then on out. And I used summative assessment at the end of the lesson. So I first started off with a formative task, and that was to gauge what the kids knew about time. So I had 3 different boxes, and it said, draw what you would be doing in the morning, at lunch, and at night. And all the kids had to simply do was draw in the pictures and label them 1 to 3. And that was really important, and the kids did a really good job at it, and we had a really great discussion at the end. What would you be doing in the morning? And people were telling me what they were doing in the morning, so I was making those real life connections again. And as Gardiner asserts, this formative assessment task was really important because then I could then plan on for the rest of the sequence of where I needed to go. So my kids were pretty strong in knowing what happened in these times. So therefore I was able to plan what I could do for the rest of the lesson. Then the sequence followed on and we talked about time and we made clocks and things like that. And then a really important lesson that the kids really enjoyed that was really student-centered was we made a class timeline. And I cut out pictures of breakfast, lunchtime, breakfast, recess, lunchtime, and nighttime, and I put Velcro on the back, and we made a class timeline, and we sat in a circle, and we ordered them in order. And they had Velcro, so they stuck on the carpet, and the kids got to stick them down, and then we put a timeline. And I said, it's up to you. So giving them, making them in charge of their learning, I said, draw a favourite time of your day. So you can pick any time in this timeline and you can draw your favourite time. So the kids went off and they all drew different times. And then we all came back and we sat in a circle again, creating that really inclusive environment. And I said, okay, so who drew something that happened in the morning? So at breakfast time, and then all the kids came and placed their pictures down, and then who drew something at recess, and the rest placed their pictures down, and so on and so forth. And then we did a beautiful gallery walk around, and we spoke about how different things happen at different times of the day, but they all happen in a sequential order. And then lastly, my summative task at the end was I had pictures and they were all in a different order, and it was daily events. So I really wanted to make it daily events. So it was someone going to school, so making those real life connections again. And they needed to cut out the pictures and they needed to place them in order and label them 1 to 4, or label them 1 to 5, I think it was. And lots of the kids did them in different order, which was still right. And we had a discussion that everyone's lives are different, and whatever order they put them in was still correct, even though some people maybe put eating at lunchtime. Some people saw the eating picture as eating breakfast. So it created these really fruitful discussions within the classroom. So all the 3 AITSL standards really, really reflect my teaching philosophy, as I believe that in creating an inclusive environment, employing those differentiating strategies are really important, and making those relevant real life connections are really important. And I'm really excited as I enter my journey into becoming a teacher. To conclude, I would like to share with you one of my favourite inspirational quotes, quoted by Martin Luther King Jr. "Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education."